Hey, horror fans, welcome back to Jay versus Horror, and today we're starting something new. We're going to be doing Jay's favorite films. That's right, mostly horror films, a few others here and there, but yes, mostly my favorite horror films that aren't in everyone's top 10 or top 20 or top 100 even horror films. I'm not saying these are the best films, I'm just saying they're my favorites. They always put me in a good mood, and I always watch them straight through whenever they're on. So let's get started. And the first film we're going to talk about is from 1986, and it's Maximum Overdrive. And guys, to get you in the mood, to get you in that sweaty 80s rock mood, we're going to play the trailer and you're going to hear AC/DC, right? No. That's one of the funny things about this film. They did not have the editing done with the music or even the permission to use the music in the trailer yet. So when they put out the trailer for Maximum Overdrive, they used the music from Halloween 3. So pay close attention, guys. You're going to hear the music from Halloween 3. And it kind of is jarring because you're expecting to hear Who Made Who or You Shook Me All Night Long here with about a minute and a half trailer. But no, what you get instead is the weird music from Halloween 3. So let's listen to the trailer, guys, and we'll be back.
What in the dickens is going on around here?
Who was driving it?
I don't know.
Curtis! It's coming after us! What is going on?
I don't know!
You want a war? You got one.
I just want to get the hell out of here.
Please don't let us be in the dark.
Help me.
You're going to get us in an awful lot of trouble, man.
We already in trouble.
Maximum terror.
Jesus coming and he is.
Maximum King.
Maybe tomorrow will be our world again.
Dino De Laurentiis presents Stephen King's Maximum Overdrive.
Alright, guys, there you go. That's the trailer for Maximum Overdrive. And doesn't it feel like a huge missed opportunity to not have the AC/DC music in this? I mean, we're trying to sell the movie, and I think that that music totally helped define what the movie was about. It was pure adrenaline fun, right? The movie doesn't make a lot of sense in a plot sense of the word or manner, but it's a fun movie. So let's talk about it a little bit. Maximum Overdrive is a 1986 American comedy horror film written and directed by Stephen King. It stars Emilio Estevez, Pat Hingle, Laura Harrington, and Yeardley Smith. The screenplay was inspired and loosely based on King's short story Trucks, which appeared in the author's first collection of short stories, Night Shift. Maximum Overdrive is the only directorial effort from King. Though dozens of films have been made on his novels or his short stories, they've been adapted into film and television. But this was Stephen's only attempt at taking on the subject matter himself. And it's an odd film because it does have some humor in it, and it's very campy, and it's, that's totally in contrast to most of Stephen King's books, which are more somber and dark in tone. But this one was fun, and it had that, nice 80s rock soundtrack composed entirely by AC/DC, which was King's favorite band. And, of course, AC/DC's album, then, Who Made Who, was released as the Maximum Overdrive soundtrack. And it just had a bunch of great AC/DC singles like, Who Made Who, You Shook Me All Night Long, Hell's Bells, things like that. Now, one of the first fun things about the movie that I remember reading, is that Stephen King, he wanted his favorite band. He got AC/DC to do the music. But before that, he had written this role of Bill that went to Emilio Estevez, who plays basically the hero. He's our main, protagonist in this film. Uh, Bill was written for Bruce Springsteen. Yeah, Stephen King wanted Bruce Springsteen to play Bill. He wanted it to be his first big role, and that it would be his big break into Hollywood. And if you look at the character of Bill, it's not too hard to see that that's exactly what Stephen was thinking at this point. He had the same exact look pretty much as Bruce Springsteen. So fun stuff there, and I'm glad. Here's what happened: the studio gave some stuff to Steven, but they said, "Look, we got this. We're taking a chance on this movie. You're a first-time director. We're not sure about any of this. One thing that we would like to do, just to feel better about it, is to attach a star to it. And we have this kid right now who's pretty famous, named Emilio Estevez." And so we want to put him in there. At least we know we can sell some teenage tickets. We can, sell it as a horror film to the teenage crowd, and they'll come see it because it's got Emilio in it. And so finally King buckled, but he said that this was like one of the first things that led him to not really give a shit about how this movie came out. And in later years, he's disowned the film and described it as a moron movie, and he says the whole thing was a learning process and that he never intends to direct again. I'm glad, though, for me, for two reasons. One, I think the film came out great. I think it was a bunch of people having fun, and you can see it, you can feel it in the movie, and it's a blast. And I think the second thing is that King is notorious for kind of putting down some other directors. He wasn't too crazy about Cronenberg's Dead Zone. He wasn't too. We all know he hated Stanley Kubrick's original version of The Shining, even though when it first came out, he played the game and said he loved it, right? Because you got to sell that stuff. But yeah, 2 or 3 years after it was out, he came out and just lambasted it. But yeah, so it was good. It was good for him to get to see how it works. It's not as easy as Clive made it look when he did Hellraiser, right? Which is actually the year after, but still. If you look at the two of them, both of them writers, and both of them trying to take on their own material, I think the difference is you see how Clive was a visual artist and not just a page artist as far as a writer. And Clive could envision changing his story to make it fit a visual experience. And Steven, everything had to be just the way he imagined it or it couldn't work, And so I think that was maybe some of the downfall with. And I love Maximum Overdrive. It's one of those movies that people complain about that I love. Everybody who made The Exorcist Part 3 complained about that film. They all hated making it, but it came out great. There's some terrific stories about the things that the cast went through in Silence of the Lambs that would make you think, how did this movie come out good? But it did. And so that doesn't really matter what everyone thinks about it so much. It just kind of matters how it came off. And I remember that kids my age, when this came out in 86, 87, we loved this movie. It was a badass, 80s rock horror movie. And, I'm assuming everyone's seen the film or at least heard of it. If not, here's the plot, okay? A comet passes over the Earth. This comet is basically a cosmic broom sent by aliens, and I'm giving you some of the information that you get later in the film up front because none of it makes any sense anyway. This cosmic thing that's happening, this broom that's been sent by these aliens, is here to sweep the Earth of humans, and what it does is it turns machines into like living things. They turn on people. All machines, basically. It seems, well, it's convenient to the plot whenever they need one to turn on humans. We don't get too deep into why or why not a certain machine turns or when it does. It's not bitten by another machine and then it turns evil, so we don't get a timeline on how this all occurs. But yeah, the machines turn against the humans. There's a lot of fun there trying to figure that out, even though it's one of those movies, guys, just eat the popcorn and, relax. And but there's a lot of great scenes in this movie. You can see that King does have an eye for what he's doing. He just doesn't understand all of it, and he got frustrated. But yeah, there's some great scenes in the movie, and it's edited great with the music. If I'm going to say that there's a favorite possessed horror film out there for me, it's not Christine, it's this one. I know they're not possessed, but I almost wish they were, because at least then you could get some kind of a supernatural vibe into the storyline, and we could not care about why they're doing what they're doing, because they don't have souls or brains or anything, but apparently they become thinking inanimate objects because of this comet. It makes sense to a degree, right? You can't pick at it too much. It's Maximum Overdrive. It's just for fun. But yeah, so the machines go on a rampage. They start killing everybody, and a group of survivors get trapped at the Dixie Boy truck stop in Wilmington, North Carolina. And the shit goes down. It's the end of the world, and we've got a group of survivors here trying to figure out how to make it. And I think this movie, not a lot of movies are good for remakes, because if you remake a great movie, you're held to such a standard that you got to wait at least 40 or 50 years till everybody's forgotten enough about the original that they don't care what the new one looks like. Now, if you're going to do it in 20 years or you're going to do it in 30 years, you can't really remake a classic film and expect to get any kind of good reaction out of it. You can. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying I wouldn't expect it. And this is one that I think is different, though. I think this film could totally be remade. And now I'm going into weird territory here, guys, because I'm not a Rob Zombie fan. I've been fairly disappointed with quite a few of his films, and I've only liked maybe 2 of his movies. But I've liked him enough, and I've seen him get better as he goes, that I realize he's not terrible. He does have his own style, and there are a huge group of fans out there that enjoy Rob Zombie's style. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and commit horror blasphemy here and recommend remaking a movie. I would love to see Maximum Overdrive redone. A little bit of the cheesiness cut out of it. Maybe a little bit better of a storyline or some more logic to it. Just a little bit. Not much, guys. I don't need much. And, yeah, I think this would be great for Rob Zombie. I mean, he writes this kind of dialogue. These kind of characters. These redneck, blue-collar characters. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that's what he writes. And, here we have a gang of characters that fit that. And he has a group of actors that work with him all the time that would fit great into those roles. I can even imagine some horror icons that you don't see work with him all the time that would fit great into some of these roles. And, yeah, it would be a fun film. High-octane remake. Spend 40 or 50 million bucks on it. And instead of going crazy with it and trying to outsmart the script, just set it in the 80s. Just set it in 1986. And let Rob Zombie, pick what kind of music he wants to do for it. If he wants to do a new age soundtrack set in 86, that might be fun. Or if he just wants to, maybe they could get the AC/DC soundtrack back on it. Why not? Who knows? But anyway, I think it would be fun. It would be something I would like to see. It ain't ever going to happen. And so don't, tie me to a stake for putting it out there, because it's never going to happen. When I originally said that thing about Ash, and I saw the pictures, and I noticed that CM Punk looked like Bruce Campbell a little bit when he was younger. And I said that I didn't have any idea that it was going to cause, like people to be pissed off at me and stuff over it. I was just saying he looks similar in that shirt, in that picture. It wasn't a, definitive, we need to recast Ash now. Nobody was saying that. That's where it went, but nobody was saying that. So I'm just saying, I think it would be fun. I'm not saying anybody should do it, and if it happens, it's not my fault. So there we go. And guys, I love the movie. I have to give it 7 out of 10. I've probably seen it over 100 times. There was a period of time where I had this on video, and it got watched at least once a day, and every time a friend came over, it got watched. And it was just one of my favorite movies from that era, and it had some great shots in it. There's some couple good gore shots in it you don't expect, and a couple times Stephen King takes the humor to that dark place where he doesn't care about what happens to the characters in the story. It's just, the story's rocking out, and somebody gets run over with a steamroller, and we see it, and it's fun. So yeah, I give it for me, I'm looking at it objectively here. I say 7 out of 10. For me personally, it's like a 9 out of 10, and it's one that I watch repeatedly. I could watch on repeat. Recently my wife asked me, she said, what is your favorite horror movie of all time? I stay away from that question because it's different on different days, and I have different, feelings about different things. But I told her, I said, I don't know. I rattled off 7 or 8 that were locks for a top 10. And then she said, I would have just assumed that you were going to say Maximum Overdrive. And I said, why Maximum Overdrive? She was like, because that's the one I've seen you watch the most since I've known you. She's like, you talk about a lot of movies, and she's like, I've seen you watch a lot of movies. We've watched a lot of movies together, but Maximum Overdrive, she's like, it never fails. Once every couple months at least, I'm going to come in here and catch you watching it. And I was like, yeah, I guess. I never really thought about it. So that kind of inspired me to start down this road to talk about some of the films that are in my favorites. They just don't ever get the love because they're not on a top anything list other than my top list. So there we go, guys. And that's all we got for this week. Now, next on my favorite films, Jay's favorite films, we're going to be talking about a weird one. We're going to be talking about a mini-series from 1997 called Intensity. It's based on the novel. It's adapted from the novel Intensity by Dean Koontz. And guys, we're going to talk about all that nasty stuff that comes with that other movie from France called High Tension. The way they ripped off Dean Koontz, the way they ripped off this book and this miniseries. And we're going to talk about all that. And we're going to talk about why I love this miniseries so much, why it's so underrated, and why more people need to see it. And I'm not just a Dean Koontz fan. Yes, I am a Dean Koontz fan, but not just a crazy Dean Koontz fan who's trying to get you to watch a Dean Koontz movie. A lot of them are terrible. It's not Dean's fault. It's just the people who made the movies weren't as serious about it as the people who made the Stephen King movies. So, we'll talk about Intensity from 1997 next week, guys. And we will get back to you the next time we have something worth talking about. Bye.